right. Good evening. Welcome to week number 3 of EDT 315. I thank you all for your understanding and flexibility this evening. I just had something come up last minute that was keeping me from getting online at 7:20 to meet with any of you that were going to be there. So if after you've watched the videos from tonight and looked at the pages you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know, and I will do what I can to help you out. So there's actually going to be 2 videos for this week. I'm going to use this first one to just kind of provide an overview for the whole week, and then there will be a second video actually on the assignment page that's going to talk more specifically about the actual assignment for this week. I figured that way that'll keep you from having to scan through a longer video to try to find that information when you're ready to work on the assignment. So in terms of the overview, we've spent the first few weeks of the course kind of focusing on just setting the stage, looking a little at instructional design, looking at goal setting, looking at standards and some design principles. So for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be turning our attention to the topic of interactivity, which is certainly one of the features that educational technology can bring to the table that gives it an advantage over, say, more traditional materials like handouts and worksheets and things like that. So what we're going to be looking at this week is focusing on presentation software. Most famously, probably PowerPoint is the granddaddy of those types of pieces of software. And I know that they get used a lot in classrooms for the sake of sort of just providing visuals to maybe support instructions for a project or something like that. But we're going to specifically be looking at what we can do to include interactivity into those types of presentations. And that's going to, there'll be a lot more detail about that with the actual assignment, but that's going to be our focus this week. And next week, we're going to look more at a couple of specific apps, some interactive web apps that you could also potentially incorporate into your lesson plans. So on the overview page here, a little bit of a background on what we're going to be doing. In terms of the sequence of activities, if you have not yet emailed me your Wix URL, and I know many of you have, please do that as soon as you can so that I can start checking in on those. Obviously, you're watching this video, but that's going to be the first thing for you to do this week is to watch this for the overview. And then this week, there are basically 3 content pages to work through. It's really sort of more of a focused content topic this week than maybe last week's was, where I know we were covering several different topics. And they're all connected. So the first one that you're going to be looking at is just taking a look at some general articles and some readings and information about the topic of interactive technology. And that's meant to maybe get you thinking a bit about what kinds of strategies, what kind of activities that you can do to engage students interactively as you're using classroom technologies. So that first page has I think 3 links on it to some articles on the web about various aspects of interactive technology and some other resources that you can look up. So as you're doing that, the idea is to get you thinking about what you might be able to do in your lesson plans along those lines. The second content page is about the actual assignment for this week, and that's where it's going to go into detail about what you're going to be doing. And as I said, there's going to be a second video on that page that will go into those details, so I'm not going to really go into that here. But basically, you're going to be filling in the next sections of your lesson plans and then choosing 2 of 3 pieces of presentation software to create interactive presentations for those 2 lessons. You'll use one piece of software on one of your lessons. You'll use a different piece of software on the other one, just to give you some experiences with different platforms. And then you'll be submitting those presentation files to me via an assignment. The third content page for this week is the informational page about the three pieces of software themselves. We're going to focus on Google Slides because I think overwhelmingly these days, more and more schools have adopted Google as their kind of main instructional platform. So that'll be one of the options, and you can access Google Slides free. All you need is a Google account. Second one is Smart Notebook, for anyone who has worked with an actual smartboard, interactive whiteboard. Smart Notebook is the software that that company provides to use on their smartboards, but you can use it in other contexts too. And you can get the software for free. You do not need to have a whiteboard or a smartboard for it to work. And in many ways, it kind of works similarly to PowerPoint and Google Slides in that you can create pages that have content on them, and various interactive elements can be put on there. So that's choice two. And the third choice is the sort of granddaddy of them, which is PowerPoint, which I'm sure all of us are familiar with in one way or another. And while sometimes it gets a bit of a bad rap, it is still a very functional piece of software, probably has more design and uh, content options than either of the other two, just because it's been around longer and it's kind of a full piece of software. So anyways, on the page, there will be links to the software themselves, to tutorial pages, to training pages, to help pages for all three of them, so that once you've chosen the two that you would like to work with, if you are looking for specifics about how to do a particular thing in any of them, you should be able to access that information there on that third page. So as I said, once you've worked through the assignment, your finished presentation files are going to be uploaded to an assignment. You'll be attaching both of them. You will also be filling in the next sections of your lesson plan template. Well, it's not the next section. You'll be filling in another section, which is section 7, which has to do with the actual sequencing of your lesson. And then once all of that's done and complete, there is a discussion forum for this week. And what you're going to do in that discussion forum is actually contribute to 2 different threads. There will be a thread in there for each of the 3 pieces of software. You will write a reply into the 2 threads for the 2 pieces of software that you chose to work with. And that'll provide a way for each of you to kind of share your experiences. If you found particular things that were useful, tricks, tips, whatever, that'll give a place for say everybody who used Google Slides to kind of compare notes about how that went and what they found out. So that's really the focus of this week. It really is geared towards creating those 2 presentation files, but making them interactive. That's going to be the word of the week, is interactivity. So, again, here's just a summary of the work that's due next class, and it's basically just going to be that presentation assignment, uploading the 2 files, and then contributing to the forum once you have those files completed. If you haven't yet emailed me your Wix URL, please do so. I think I mentioned that already, but that's on here as well. And as I said, you will also be working to fill in section 7 of your lesson plans. You are not submitting those this week. That is just before you can create your presentations, you're going to need to kind of have an idea of how your lesson is going to run and what kind of things you can put into the presentation to support your lesson. So that is basically the overview for the week. As I said, there will be another video on the assignment page that will go into the details, and you can watch that on that page. But other than that, again, I thank you for your flexibility for this evening. We should be back to normal next week. And as always, just let me know if you've got questions or concerns, and I will be happy to address those. So have a great week, and we are, believe it or not, heading into the halfway point of this course. Once we get through next week, we are halfway and on our way downhill towards the finish line. All right, thank you very much, and be in touch.